This is a game that by all means should not exist, but does due to sheer passion and love for the craft. Everyone thought this game was as good as dead when it was announced that the development for it was going to end and that the studio responsible was permanently shutting down. We all thought that this was the unfortunate end for such a highly anticipated title that was in the works for over a decade now. But by some miracle, the original owner was able to reacquire the IP back for himself and restart the development from the very beginning, breathing new life and hope into this project once more. Yes, I'm talking about Hytale, the highly anticipated title that was officially announced back in 2018, and it was then bought out by Riot Games shortly after that. Everything was looking hopeful for this project. It had the support of millions of fans, the funding of a renowned AAA studio, and the foundation of a potentially amazing game that could have been enjoyed by everyone of all ages. Now, for those of you that are wondering, what's the big deal? Why do so many people even care about this little game anyway? Well, to understand where fans are coming from, we need to first understand what happened to this game and why it's such a monumental victory that was pulled out from the jaws of eternal doom. You see, it all started back in 2013 on a decently large Minecraft server called Hypixel, a casual server where people of all ages can participate in various minigames in order to earn virtual currency. It wasn't just a place where people could compete with each other, but it was also a hub for players to just relax after a long day and hang out with other like-minded individuals who also want to chat and have a good time. It's safe to say that Hypixel is one of the most popular Minecraft servers even to this day, with over 30,000 concurrent players daily. And although the devs were probably very passionate about their server, it did still hold a lot of limitations in terms of what they could do and create, because at the end of the day, it was still running on Minecraft's engine. And because of this, it inspired the devs to start developing their own game where they had full creative freedom to make whatever they want. Thus, in 2015, they started the pre-production of a massively ambitious sandbox game where it would take place in a fantasy world that's completely procedurally generated, a lot like how Minecraft is, except there are more fantasy and RPG elements in it. And this concept was a massive hit with the audience, with the trailer reaching over 63 million views as of today. It was safe to say that it garnered all sorts of attention, especially from big AAA publishers, one of them notably being Riot Games themselves. Hytale's popularity piqued their interest so much to the point where in 2020, they would eventually offer the Hytale developers a large sum of money in order to buy out the project and studio and have it officially be developed under the Riot Games publishing group. Originally, at the time of this buyout, it was seen as a massive victory because it meant that this small but ambitious project would be receiving a large injection of funding. However, this blessing would prove to eventually be a curse in disguise because a few years later, the ambition would prove to be troublesome for even Riot themselves. The scope of the game was simply too large, so in June of 2025, Riot would then completely shut down the development, cutting off all the funding for the project and fully dissolving the studio working on it. This was a major blow to the game and totally dashed everyone's hopes of ever being able to have a playable version of Hytale. And that was until recently in November of 2025, just a few months after the shutdown, it was announced that the original developers of Hytale would repurchase the IP back from Riot Games and resume development for the project by rehiring all of the original devs that were let go in the closure and pick it back up where they left off. And now we're finally here in 2026 with a playable build of Hytale, although in a very unfinished state. However, even though Hytale is essentially back to what it looked like in 2015, I believe that this project has the potential to be another generational game, just like how Minecraft was back when it was released, because of the plethora of community support from the devs. They have created a whole entire modding toolkit that allows modders to have so much freedom to create quite literally whatever they want. And yeah, sure, playing the game itself is cool and all, but it's still largely unfinished because it's still in the pre-alpha phase, so it might leave a lot to be desired in terms of content. However, the devs are hard at work quickly adding content for the game with each update. Hell, it got its first patch just 4 days after it got released into early access for the public to play, and then another one just 1 week after that. And these aren't just small cosmetic updates too, these are substantial fixes, balancing, and general quality of life changes. I don't know how they're doing it, but these devs are working at a breakneck speed, making the game better and better every time. Playing the base game as it is right now is already pretty fun in itself. It's like playing an earlier build of a modded version of Minecraft, except it has better movement and more modern code of paint to it. The game as it is right now is already a great base foundation for the devs to create another amazing alternative to Minecraft. Speaking of modding, even though the base game of Hytale is already incredibly fun to play by yourself and with friends, in my opinion, this is not even the biggest draw for Hytale. I think the biggest reason why this game deserves all the support is because of the built-in array of tools and editors that allow the players to create their own mods and assets, which they then can publicly share with the whole entire world. You see, Hytale is unique in the way that it was made because it was built to support player-created content from the ground up, which is incredibly rare in the current industry. Only a handful of games out there actually give the players the tools and the total freedom to create whatever they want, and Hytale is an exceptionally good game for user-generated content because of the in-game toolkit that the devs have built for the players. If done right, this game could have one of the best player-supported communities on the market. Hell, I mean, people have already started making incredibly creative mods. For example, a couple of guys have already somehow found a way to cross-play Hytale with Minecraft itself. Or how one guy turned Hytale into a Vampire Survivors-like type of game. Or how another guy made a completely 2D Metroidvania version of the game. I don't even know how all of this is possible, but they somehow found a way to do it with Hytale's incredibly flexible and easy to learn modding tools. It's so simple that a complete newbie can start to learn how the editor works, and they would be able to make their very own mod within an hour. And as time goes on, I'm sure more and more people will figure things out and push the boundaries of Hytale modding. I know that the devs may have lost about 10 years worth of development time because of the whole studio closure debacle, but that doesn't mean that they've lost any more passion than what they had when they sold it way back then. Because it feels like even though they lost all of the work put into the game while it was being developed under Riot Games, they're still pushing out updates as if they haven't lost a day. And honestly, that amount of dedication alone is enough for me to support the developers myself, because an underdog story like this is so rare in this industry. Small studios who have huge ambitious dreams of creating a game that not only are they proud of, but are willing to go above and beyond what's expected of them in order to achieve their goals is extremely respectable to me. In this case, it's repurchasing the IP from the people they sold it to a long time ago and continuing development as if nothing ever happened to it. And they didn't have to do this. They could have very well just left the project dead in the water and moved on with their lives, like what most people probably would have done. But no, the original founder, Simon, didn't want to let his brainchild die out like this. He wanted to keep the dream and ambition alive because he truly believed that Hytale could be one of the best games out there on the market. And the market for good voxel sandbox games is very scarce as it is right now, with only Minecraft reigning supreme for decades now. It really feels like Hytale is more of a passion project than anything, and the devs truly do believe in the vision for the project, however ambitious it may be. So that's why I think Hytale is completely worth supporting right now. But that's just me. What do you think? Do you agree or disagree? Let me know down below and make sure to like, comment, subscribe for more content in the future. See ya.